Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, August the 23rd, and welcome to the Positions on Sports Talk Show post live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positions on Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide you our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports. My name is Professor J, and I'm joined tonight by my solo partner in crime, J3. Holla at the people.
What's going on? What's happening, Professor J? Welcome, everyone that's tuning in.
What's up, brother? Glad to be here with you tonight, and we gonna do what we do tonight. We gonna talk sports, so praise the Lord. Let's
Bring it.
go.
Yes,
So
sir.
special shout out to our partners tonight. As y'all know, we are working professionals. So we have
Mm-hmm.
brothers that are handling their business, brothers that are taking care of their households, and brothers on the men. So we
Mm-hmm.
shout out to all of our partners in crime who are doing their thing tonight. We got you. We holding it down just like we always tell you. It might not be all of us, but we definitely gonna have at least two of us here, and we gonna do these sports and we gonna do them well. So make sure that you chime in, sit back, relax, and we're going to do our thing. So tonight, of course, we got our quick hits for you, and then we're going to spend a lot of time discussing the NFL. Namely, we're going to look at the NFC East. I mean, the NFC West. Sorry, we did East last week, and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to look at the AFC West. And then we're going to close things out with our final post on tonight. So let's go ahead and jump into it, J3. So we got some flip-flop news going on right now, and I'm talking about in the world of boxing. So one Tyson Fury, our one of our heavyweight champions, he's retired, then he unretired, then he retired again, and now he's unretiring yet again. His promotion team, they're beginning negotiations now to have a heavyweight unification bout with Mr. Usyk, who just won, and for it'll be either later this year in 2022, that's a quick turnaround, or it'll be early 2023. So knowing what we know about Mr. Fury, of course we know him well with his bouts, his clashes with Mr.
Antics.
Wilder. But
Mm-hmm.
how do you think he has been overall as a heavyweight champion?
I mean, he has been dominating that class, and I think he's still hungry for money. And so because it's wide open and he has an opportunity, I think he's going to take it so that he can acquire a few more coins in his pocket before he lets it go again.
How about that? And they call him the Gypsy King, right? So I guess he is gonna get that money, get that
Yeah.
bag. So now that we see it coming together with a bout with Usyk, I mean, who you think is gonna come out on top of that? Now I know Usyk just beat Mr. Joshua, and I don't know how you felt about that fight. I wasn't too thrilled with it. I mean, I really didn't care who won, but now that we set the stage for this fight, who you think would come out on top?
It's really hard to say because I mean Usyk, I think he's probably going to be the favorite. Even though Tyson, he's had quite a few belts under his belly for a while now. So it's going to be interesting. I'm not going to bet on the fight because just don't know who's going to win.
True that. Something tells me that even if Usyk is favored, the Gypsy King is going to find a way to pull this one out of his hat. I'm not too thrilled or happy with him because I happen to think that the man fights with loaded gloves. I mean, it's been debated, especially with his brawls with Wilder, whether that was the case or not. But I think for me, I saw enough evidence to suggest that something fishy has been awry in his three bouts with Mr. Wilder. But I mean, we can't cry over spilled milk. You just hope that going into what could be his last bout coming forward, that win or lose, he does it fairly. That's all I can say.
Time will
Um,
tell. Let's just put it
yeah,
that way. Time will
yeah.
tell.
And too bad our boxing aficionado Big Reg isn't on here, because I would love to hear his thoughts on this upcoming fight. Do you think it's going to draw down a huge pay-per-view purse for both fighters?
I think it is only because of the fact that right now people are still hungry for a good match. And this is about the best we're going to get until we see that Crawford what's my
Spence.
man? Spence fight.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah, that's the one I'm waiting for real. That's the one I want to see that I would actually spend my money on. But yeah, heavyweight division, just been real lackluster the last 10, 15 years. But
right.
like you say, it's the best of what we have.
Yeah.
So I'm certain that Big Red to drum it up and we'll all be watching. So stay tuned out there, everybody. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about a basketball league, a Pro City Pro Am league that little people know about. I saw a great coverage of it on the Four Letter Network, and I just wanted to share it with some of our viewers out there. And it's called the Desert Rain Pro City. All right. This is a Pro Am league in Las Vegas. And they have quite a few stars, but their number one star is a 5'9" point guard by the name of Pierre Jackson. And this dude can ball. And some people who are aficionados of the NBA have heard of a lot of these pro-am leagues. You had DeMarcus Cousins played in this particular league in the past. The one that just got paid, Gary Payton II, from the champion Golden State Warriors, played in this league before. And then Sense's favorite, Montrezl Harrell, also played in this league as well. You know, they kind of use it. The way I saw it is they use this, the pro players use this as sort of like a minor league, like they do in baseball, where you go down after injury to get yourself right, to get back in playing shape, and then you come back up. And that's kind of how, you know, this league is used. But this cat, Pierre Jackson, he's former all Big 12 player. He did that twice. He's out of Baylor University. He's a cat from Chicago, so you know he can ball. And he's just lighting this particular league on fire. So those of you who are out there that love basketball, Google this cat, Pierre Jackson, and you'll see him in the Desert Rain Pro City. It's out of Las Vegas, so you'll see exactly what we're talking about. This cat can shine.
So let me
And
ask you a question real quick.
go ahead.
So is this supposed to take the place of the G League, or
No.
is it supposed to be an additional arena for players to play? And or is this supposed to be a replica or an extension of the Big Three that Ice Cube had?
Yeah, I would kind of comp this to the Arena Football League, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a way for players to still play the game that they love, possibly get noticed, and then get back or come for the first time into the pro ranks. Now, that could mean, as far as NBA is concerned, they could get a call to come into the G League, or they could get a call to come into the NBA. But I liken it to like an arena football league for basketball, because all the major cities like Las Vegas, I think Philadelphia, down in Miami, some places, they all have their pro-am leagues where these guys can come and keep playing and showcase their talent. I mean, it's rare that somebody gets called up, but this cat gets pointed out because he's just electrifying. You know, he's doing his thing, and it's possible that you could find him on a developmental league roster or pro NBA roster this coming season, because he's getting a lot of run. So I implore people, check it out and give us your feedback, and you'll see why I'm so excited about him.
So real
All
quick
right.
before you move on,
Yes, sir.
when do they actually play games? So if individuals are interested in watching it, when do they actually play?
So a lot of these games are not televised. So if you're not in that local market, like here in the Washington, D.C. area, we don't have pro-am leagues. So we can't tune in. So you can go to YouTube and you can look them up, and they'll have replays of this particular league going on. There are probably some streaming ways that you can do it, but I don't know for sure. But definitely YouTube is the quickest way to see film and highlights of the games that he and others play in that particular league.
Good info. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, so let's talk WNBA, because it is playoff time for the Women Professional League. And sad to say that our Washington Mystics got dealt a 2-game sweep by the Storm, and you know, we're a little sad, but understand that they did their thing, and hats off to them. Game one, Washington really should have gotten that game. They were up by like 5 with less than 2 minutes left, and they just started taking bad shots and turning the ball over. And then before you know it, Sue Bird and Breonna Taylor, they just capitalized off of it. They hit a couple of trays, buckets, and then they took like a 5-point lead. So they did a 10-point swing in those last 2 minutes. And the Mystics, who are known for their defense, they just didn't show up in game one. That was their chance to steal one from the team that was favored. And then really in game two, they were down by 2 at halftime, so it looked promising. Looked like the Mystics defense was really giving them problems. And then in the second half, it was never in doubt.
So did the coach even step up when they had a 5-point lead to calm the team down, to control the tempo so that they wouldn't give or let the lead slip away? Or did she just let them play, and that's how they ended up losing?
Yeah, she called timeout, but literally the plays out of the timeouts didn't really resonate because the execution was poor. Because Deladon has scored 26 in game one at the end of the game. So what they started doing was doubling her. So they were getting the ball out of her hand. And my girl Atkins, man, I love her, but she had a wide open 3 that probably would have iced the game, but she clonked it. They got the rebound, fast break came down, and they scored. And then in the ensuing possession, the Mystics turned the ball over. Inexcusably, they threw the ball away, went out of bounds. Terrible. And then, the Storm didn't look back after that. They pretty much, took it to them that less than 2 minutes in game one. And like I said, the second half of game two, it just wasn't close. So they're out, but the Mystics are promising because they have a core talented group. Elena Deladon is definitely the truth. She seems like she's staying healthy now. So going forward, as long as they continue to build that team around her, they should be straight, because they're only a few years away of winning the championship. So everybody said that the winner out of these two teams had a great chance of taking the NBA title. I know Las Vegas is doing their thing right now, and I know you can't count the champ Candace Parker in Chicago out. But the analysts and people that have watched this game and know this game said that this series that just concluded, you got a good chance of having the champion out of that. So we shall see.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes. So one interesting fact, and this is a Reg bomb I can drop on everybody because he definitely shared this with us, even in his absence. He reminded us that the head coaches of the first two teams to clinch, second round play are both former WNBA players. So you have the Las Vegas Aces. Their coach is none other than Becky Hammond. We definitely know her from coaching under Popovich in San Antonio, being one of the very first assistant coaches in the NBA, and she does a phenomenal job. So she got the Aces playing out of their mind. I mean, it's crazy because the moment, Mark Davis stepped up and did something for the Aces, brought her on, all that good stuff, it's like, wow, the Aces just really took off. And she can coach. I mean, let's not mix any words about it. She can coach. She actually had a true chance at being an NBA coach, right? And she got passed over, and we know that. But I thought that if she had waited a couple of more years, she would have been an NBA coach. And that's not too late. But if she starts winning championships for the Las Vegas Aces, man, I think that money would be there, that status would be there, and she'll continue to do great things. So hats off to her. And then the second player is former WNBA player Noelle Quinn for the Seattle Storm. So those are two former WNBA players who are shining as coaches. And we point that out because how often do former players from the NBA actually turn out to be great head coaches? Not many of them, right?
Right.
So that's a tough thing to do. And this is why we're highlighting it. And if either the New York Liberty, that's Sandy Brondello, or the Dallas Wings advance with none other than our own Vicky Johnson, then that would be 4 former WNBA players who have advanced in the playoffs of the WNBA this season. So
still gotta give them their shine.
We gotta
give them their shine. Yes, sir.
So that's a beautiful thing. And don't forget, I think the Atlanta team has a former WNBA player that's also co-owner of the team as well. So these are things that are happening in the WNBA that people need to pay attention to. So dare I say, will you pay these women?
How
And I
about that?
mean, with the help of the NBA to help shine some light on the talent that's going on in the WNBA. So these women like Brittany don't have to go overseas and get caught up in political turmoil. And whether she is guilty or made a mistake or not, she never should have been held as political collateral. And she certainly shouldn't have been sentenced to no 9.5 years for bringing a little bit of vape oil across enemy lines, right? So
Real
it's
talk.
just those kind of things that we need to keep our stars at home. They shouldn't have to go overseas to make ends meet and to do great things for their families. So good stuff for the WNBA. Keep doing your things and please watch the playoffs. I mean, we've sat down and watched some of the games and they are just as entertaining as the men. And you can start developing your favorite players in that league. Like I said, I named two of my own from our home team, Deladon and Atkins. They can ball. And of course, everybody knows Candace Parker. Everybody knows Sue Bird. And one of my favorites, Diana Taurasi, who's about to retire this year as well.
Well
So
deserved too.
please, yes,
Well
please give
deserved.
them some love. Okay. So those are a few of our quick hits for this week. Now we're going to transition over to what we love and what we're so excited about, and that's the NFL. Now, before we get to the coverage of the Western teams, I do want to talk a little bit about the home teams in this area. That's the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders. So we'll start a little bit with the Commanders. All right. So J3, did you have a chance to look at a little bit of that game or catch some of the highlights?
Nope, didn't waste my time. No, sir. Not at all. Nope.
All right.
How was
it? So let me break it down. Now, offensively, they're way ahead of the defense. And the defense is supposed to be the strong suit of this particular team.
Really?
The disappointing part of this is that you have a defensive coordinator in Jack Del Rio, who's a veteran of this game. He played, he's been a head coach. Now he's a defensive coordinator. But this guy was billed at one time as a defensive guru, right? I cannot see I'm not even being funny, y'all, when I tell you that I could call a better defense and understand the talent that my team has. And he's been doing this and gets paid millions of dollars doing it. When you if you watch any of that game, they were in 3rd and 3 situations, and the corners were playing 6 to 10 yards off the ball. So what did the Kansas City Chiefs do? They threw short in routes, short out routes, button hooks, just short slants to get first downs. Because
makes you wonder
if you're
what he was watching.
Yeah,
makes you wonder what he was watching.
Right. So if you know that, and if your players are doing that and you're watching that, you immediately tell the captain on the defense, I think it's Cole Holcomb, to get them in place and tell them to move up to more of a bump coverage, so you can at least get some hands on them. If it's 3rd and 3 and they might pass, now they could run on that down, but it makes no sense why you would give a 6 to 10 yard cushion. That makes no sense. He rarely ever puts any pressure in the form of a blitz on the quarterback. Our front line is supposed to be the strength of our defense, but yet you can't get a push up the middle. Now, I don't know what's going on with our Alabama boys, because certainly we know that they're capable, in Allen and Payne, but against the Chiefs, whose line I wouldn't really consider, the top of the NFL. I mean, they're good, but they're supposed to be better. Now, I know we don't have Chase Young yet, but you got Sweat on the other side. So why can't those 3 guys wreak some havoc on Patrick Mahomes? I mean, he was pretty much having his time. And you know what Patrick Mahomes said after the game? He said, I didn't think they were really going to come after me, but when I saw how the DNs were trying to, come and hit me and sack me and stuff, he was like, I had to get in game mode, and he started throwing sidearm and moving up the pocket and stuff, because he wasn't really expecting to really have an outing where he really had to try to play for real. He said that.
So
Because
my
I think what happened, Del Rio started trying to come out of character a little bit, and he did start doing some different things where he was shooting people at up different gaps, like stunts and things like that, which really people don't normally do during preseason. That was the comment that was made, that he started doing something in preseason that teams don't normally do. So what you think that was about?
So my question is, did the starters play the whole game, or did they just play
Nah,
the
just the
first quarter?
first half. Just the first half.
So even in the first half, you telling me Jack Del Rio didn't make any adjustments?
Yeah, Kansas City scored 14 quick points on them. I mean, it was really, I mean, it was just one catch after another. Like Patrick Mahomes just started slinging it like this was a mid-season game.
Mm.
And the defense just looked terrible. I mean, this route, I can't even remember the wide receiver's name, but he's not a household name. He ran a post inside post route right in front of Cam Curl's face and just caught the jump for a touchdown. And I'm just sitting there like, what were you thinking?
So
Like,
some things just never change, huh?
right. I'm like, what were you thinking?
Mm.
So then you look at Carson Wentz, and I mean, to me, what Carson Wentz is and what he does, we were getting out of Taylor Heineke. So why pay $30 million for a guy where your backup was pretty much doing the same thing? And I know they had big hopes for him and everything, and I hope he pans out, because to me, he gonna take a hit and he gonna be hurt again, just like any other season. And then where they gonna be? You're gonna be right back to Taylor Heineke. I thought that they should have used that money to shore up the linebacking core during the off season, because they still have holes there. You still hoping Jamin Davis can turn the corner, and Cole Holcomb is a tackling machine, but he's no good in coverage. So when you play teams that got bona fide 1 and 2 tight end sets, who is he going to cover? I mean, I'm just asking the question for a friend, right? So you have these weapons. Now, who I'm impressed with is Brian Robinson. He looks like a bona fide running back that Washington has been needing for a long time. They've been in love with the guys that can catch out the backfield, the little scat back, stuff like that. But the thing is, Gibson can't stop putting the ball on the ground, and McKissick stays hurt. So you need a guy that's durable, because Robinson, check this out. We looked up the stats. Brian Robinson did not fumble one time at Alabama. Let that sink in for
Wow.
you. Let that sink in.
Wow.
And this is a shoulder pad level bruising type of runner that will run through you if you don't get low enough. And I love that about him, because we need that type of strong running back, because who are the running backs that's getting it done? My boy in Indianapolis, right? Your boy in Tennessee, right? They run behind their shoulder pads. And Bama's don't want no parts of a strong running back, 6'2", 230, that's coming at you like that, that's going to pound you and move that rock. I mean, I think that'll be Carson Wentz's saving grace if we have a great running game this year. And I got to say, the offensive line is filled with no names, but they gelling better than when we had people like Moses and Sheriff and all these guys that wanted to get paid here have been doing the whole time. So do I think they're going to wreak havoc this year? No. I think we got a 8-9 team at best, because their stuff is a little favorable. Their schedule. All right, Baltimore. Baltimore looks a whole lot better, but that's not a big surprise. Tyler Huntley, to me, is a bona fide backup that reminds me a lot of Tyrod Taylor. He can come in and he can start and do well for a half a season before the wheels fall off. Now, I don't know if the wheels will fall off with Huntley, but he shows enough when Lamar gets hurt or during preseason that boy can ball. And it's funny, because if you blink twice, a lot of the throws that he makes, you would think it was Jackson in the game.
Yeah.
And he can run too. So make no mistake. He's the reason RG3 don't play football anymore, because he did better at backing up Jackson than RG3 did. So RG3 is now broadcasting and commentating for ESPN. But Huntley can play, man.
Or do you think RG3 was a little scared to get back out there because of that brutal hit that he took and pretty much ruined his career?
Yeah, I think RG3, if you watched him, he played timid after that point. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
he never regained, what he was going to be. And it's a sad story because had he not come here to Washington, I do believe he would still be playing, and he would
Mm.
be playing at a higher level than how he ended his career. I mean, you don't become that electrifying and rookie of the year doing the things that he did and just flame out. I just think both knees being injured and him playing timid just ruined his career.
I
But
agree.
that's what happens when somebody don't want you.
Yep.
They run you into the ground.
Yep.
All right, so Baltimore did look good. I still don't have a lot of confidence in their wide receivers, but Mr. Andrews is a bona fide dog at tight end. And I think if Dobbins can stay healthy at running back, they'll at least have one viable threat in the backfield. I don't want Lamar to run as much as he does, but I mean, what can you say? Their line still needs some help, but the Ravens' strength will always be in their defense. That's still there. So we're going to see because they play Washington this week. So get your popcorn ready. All right, so let's move into our highlight of the week. We're going to look at the NFL AFC West right now. So, J3, let's go ahead and start with the Las Vegas Raiders. So, what did you see out of them last year? And how do you think that they have made some moves to improve this year? And with that division, we're calling it the best in football. How do you think they shake up this year?
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I like the Raiders because they got a mean back, Josh Jacobs, who can carry the load. Even if Derek Carr is not having a good day, just feed him the ball. He gonna get you 6, 7, 8 yards of carry, and that's what you need. And then they acquired Devontae Adams, a receiver that all Derek Carr has to do is throw it his way, and he gonna catch the ball. So their offense should be electrifying. The defense is still going to be strong. I really see them taking either the 1 or 2 spot out of the West.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
bullish. That's
yeah,
bullish.
yeah.
Oh man. Oh, I see you, BJ. We'll talk about that in a second. Man, the thing I love Alabama running backs. The only knock on Jacobs is that he can't stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, he can be in that same line with the other Alabama running backs. The only bust they ever had was Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
Richardson, when he came out, he looked the part, but he just never
Mm-hmm.
really panned out. But after that,
Mm-hmm.
Ingram, all them cats all panned out in the NFL. So long as he can stay healthy, which he should, by all reports, he's healthy, came to camp in shape. So he should be that bruiser that he needs. What's going to really help Derek Carr in that whole offense is that now they have an offensive-minded head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who has obviously huge success, McDaniels, being the OC with the Patriots. And that's why the Patriots got so much turmoil right now with not knowing who's going to call the plays. And they look real bad over the weekend. But you now have a guy that's quarterback friendly, somebody that worked with Tom Brady all those years, somebody who's going to bring an offense in that's going to just amplify all the weapons that he has. And don't forget, he still got little Mike Renfro, too.
And also Waller. I was getting ready to say I forgot
Yeah,
about the tight end. So
yeah, Waller as well.
yeah.
And Waller is, I don't know why Baltimore let him go. Oh my gosh, they would have had
Mm-hmm.
him and Andrews. They would have
Mm-hmm.
been just one of the sickest combos at tight end in the league. But yeah, and that dude is always a threat down the seam in the middle of the field. And he can catch, he gonna deliver a hit. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
what safety in the league wants to take that big dude on, he gonna crush you,
Mm-hmm.
but he's sure-handed and he battled some injuries last year. So he's coming back healthy. So I think that they'll be fine. But you said number 2 in the division.
1 or 2. Yeah, that's strong. Absolutely.
The good part that we gotta point out is that Carr and Adams are familiar with each other. They played together at Fresno State.
Yep.
So now it's like peanut butter and jelly coming back together. So they might have a better chemistry than he and Aaron Rodgers had. And I think that that's something to pay attention to. And look, I'm not arguing where you got them because I'm looking at their defense as well. They got Max Crosby and they
Mm-hmm.
signed Chandler Jones from Arizona. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that pass rush should be bona fide, which we should have in Washington if they do
Mm-hmm.
this stuff right. But that pass rush should be sick. because we know what Chandler Jones can do. And last year, Max Crosby had sort of like a coming out party. I mean, dude was literally unblockable last year. So that defense should be pretty nice. The Raiders didn't have a particularly hot draft. I would consider it mild, but they already had enough talent on that team in order to, handle a prediction like, coming in second or first in that league. All right, so that sounds good. That sounds good. My dad is certainly happy because he's an Oakland boy. So Raiders, no matter where they move, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, he'll always be a Raiders fan till he dies. So
Silver
he's
and black
happy.
gonna be all right this year.
Right.
I truly believe it.
All right. So let's slide over to the Denver Broncos. So last season they were 7-10. So what you think they got going on this year?
So with Denver, again, the only thing that they were missing, in my opinion, was a quarterback. And now you got Russell Wilson. So you got a bona fide quarterback who's a threat, whether he throws the ball or runs the ball. Mm-hmm. He knows how to control the game. He doesn't fold under pressure. And so they're going to be very, very, very hard to beat. I still think they're going to come under the Las Vegas Raiders. Mm-hmm. I know they're going to be a good squad, but I still think the Raiders are going to take that division.
Okay. I like the addition of Russell Wilson is definitely solid. And BJ, this is why I'm telling you to hold on, because Russell Wilson actually has an offensive line now. Mm-hmm. I bet you would want some of those guys in Pittsburgh. But what y'all have in Pittsburgh right now, real quick, is y'all gonna put a quarterback out there in either Mitch Trubisky or the rookie, and you're gonna use him as a crash dummy this year. Yep. And they'll probably draft at least 2 quality linemen in the draft next year, and probably bring in a quality free agent. But I'm sorry, brother, this year I really think that the Steelers are going to struggle. They're going to struggle mightily. And Mike Tomlin, I mean, he's going to keep his job, but this might be his first losing season. But anyway, back to the Denver Broncos. So again, Russell Wilson should not be running for his life this year. He has a decent to solid offensive line that should give him time in the pocket. He definitely has, weapons on the outside. J3 picked one up in his fantasy draft, Cortland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy, we know also from Alabama, his what he brings to the table. And I really think that the new head coach, and Nathaniel Hackett, he's from the Packers staff. So how that favors is good, because we got a guy that's offensive minded, that'll mesh well with Russell Wilson. He has him a line now. He has him some weapons. And I know you said it during our draft. I know you said it, but I'm about to pull him out. But he has at least a solid running back in Melvin Gordon.
Yes, sir. Melvin Gordon is a good back, man.
But the guy that really shined last year was Javonte Williams. He is a running back on the up and coming. So we're going to give you a quick fantasy football preview. If you have not seen that young man run, just look at some footage from last year's season in Denver, and you'll probably want to pick him at least as your running back 2 for your team. So Russell Wilson is going to have some people, and we got to remember, he had that in Seattle, some solid running backs, whether it was Beast Mode, whether it was Carson. He had some solid running backs that he could hand the ball off to, especially that play action. Y'all know Wilson is nasty with the play action. So the run should work to get him there. I'm also looking at the fact that, he has Bradley Chubb on that defense, and they sneakily snuck Randy Gregory over from Dallas. Now, if he can keep his head clean and keep himself on the straight and narrow, Randy Gregory could be a good pickup for that defense that could help them. Now you're not gonna like this. I got them winning the division. I think the Broncos, because Russell Wilson is such a great addition to that team at quarterback. And you said it yourself. That was the one thing that they were really missing last year, because they were a little bit under the radar and they stunned some people last year. Their record might not say it, but that's because of the quarterback play. Right?
But with that being said, do you believe that the Denver Broncos defense is better than the Las Vegas Raiders defense?
See, I'm one of them people that still thinks that if there is a talented Broncos team playing in that Mile High, area, that stadium, in the fourth quarter in a close game, I give the edge to the Broncos because they're used to playing in high altitude, and other teams are not. You might be in their division, but you don't practice there, right?
I understand, but
And
if Derek Carr can connect with the weapons that he has on offense and light up the scoreboard, it ain't gonna matter how many what position you at and where you playing at.
But that's the thing, though, J3. Derek Carr, even though things are now falling in his place, he has to show us that he can light up a scoreboard. If he does that, then we're looking at a cat that's slinging it like Josh Allen, right? Or Pat Mahomes. But he has to show us that he can make that next step to do that. He's a top 12 quarterback in the league, but can he make it into like that top 7, you know? But we'll see this year. We'll see. We'll see. All right. So moving on to the Los Angeles Chargers, who a lot of people are real bullish about, and they're saying that they're going to be the ones to take the division, take the crown away from the Kansas City Chiefs. So we know Justin Herbert is that pick that a lot of people should have taken, but they for whatever reason, they chose other quarterbacks. We're not going to name any teams, any names, but Justin Herbert is that quarterback that took a flailing Chargers team, which nobody expected much from. And we got to remember, he took the job. Well, he didn't take it. He got the job from Tyrod Taylor because of their foolish doctor puncturing Taylor's lungs in a game. But to his credit, he played lights out and never gave it back. And Tyrod moved on, right? So you got to give the young man credit because he's everything that many thought that he would be. He's built up to be that quarterback. So he's not Daniel Jones. I think we can safely say that. He still has 2 solid bona fide receivers and Mike Williams, who they just re-upped, and he got Keenan Allen. So the only thing that could slow those 2 down is if they get hurt, but they generally stay healthy. So he has them. You got a lot of people's favorite running back in Austin Eckler.
Fantasy.
Yeah, that man can ball. And he's a threat every time he touches the ball. So you have him, and then you looking down, and you got what many people say could be the upstart, the takeover full running back duties once he gets fully healthy is Isaiah Spiller. So they got a nice backfield that people are going to have to pay attention to. But Spiller is still a little dinged up going through the preseason, so he won't start the season, as fresh as he might be as they go through. But again, you got Austin Eckler. You can't go wrong. He can catch out the backfield too.
Yeah, he's dual threat.
Their defense is nice, man.
Yeah,
Derwin James.
But this is going to be the first time that they're going to play together. So we're going to see how effective they're going to be. I still think the Raiders is going to take this division, bro. I really think so.
All right, but let me just give you some names. I hear what you said. They done snuck Kyle Van Noy from over the Patriots. They done got Khalil Mack from Chicago.
Who been hopping teams for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, but
he don't know where he's going to be at.
Chicago, man. It's Chicago.
I know, but hey.
They were wasting him, man. Just terrible. And then from the Super Bowl champion, Sebastian Joseph Day. And he's solid.
Which is surprising.
Yeah. And then the young phenom, Asante Samuel Jr., who played just as well as his daddy did. I mean, that's a solid defense looking across the line. This is why we're saying this division is going to beat up on each other. And when we say who's going to come out number 1, let's be clear. This could be a division that's definitely going to get 2 teams into the playoffs, but they might sneak 3.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Because the wild card has expanded. Y'all got to remember
that. Would be amazing. That would be amazing.
To include another team. So this division could get in 3 teams. Because if they split with each other, all teams split with each other, that's 3 losses. And then they could run the table on every other team that they play, right? So it is possible.
So do you think the next team we talking about is going to be that 3rd team?
Oh, Kansas City?
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt.
I don't know.
Some people got them missing the playoffs, but their logic is only that they missed Cheetah. I mean, Cheetah was all right, but
Cheetah
he
was
didn't
a
catch
deep
every
threat.
pass.
Cheetah
But
was a depth threat, a
right,
depth threat.
right. But here's what they're thinking. The second rounder that they got, Sky Moore from Western Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
he has some speed. Now, I don't know how well he can catch, but if you got somebody flying down the field, they got to pay attention to him.
You
So that
hope.
means you still got Travis Kelce, who
Mm-hmm.
run routes just as good as any wide receiver, and he seems to always be open.
Always open.
Right. And don't forget, they did pull in Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, the biggest criticism we had of him is stop dancing on the field and get his head in the game. But the Bama can play. And
Yeah.
playing on an Andy Reid team, and with Patrick Mahomes, I definitely think he's going to eat. And then you all got to remember something. And I'm going to say this real quick. Aaron Rodgers can be a bastard. And I'm not saying anything about his character, but the way he treats other players, especially his wide receivers, why you think them cats the first time they get up out of there? Devontae Adams, make no mistake, he was sick of dealing with Aaron Rodgers. Was he retiring? Was he not retiring? And then the Raiders came calling. They were like, man, I could play with my college quarterback. I ain't got time for this. He left. Valdez Scantling was a Packer last year. He's gone. Valdez Scantling was one of the receivers a couple of years ago that Aaron Rodgers criticized. This is not the first time Aaron Rodgers then dogged out his young wide receivers. Some players get tired of that mess, and they tired of dealing with the drama that's Aaron Rodgers. He might be great, but who in the world wants to keep being called out? So they like, oh, I'll go play with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Shoot, I'll go play with my college quarterback. So I think Scantling, you're going to see some good things from him. And I just really think the way that offense is set up, because you have Edwards-Helaire at the running back. But the problem with the Chiefs, and this is what's going to hurt them, and I understand where you about to go, their defense is some poo-poo now.
Yep. That's been for the last couple of years, to be honest with you.
They let too many good guys walk.
Yeah.
They didn't want to pay them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, can the Chiefs score enough points to beat people? Absolutely. But their defense might be in the bottom of the league again this year. I mean, they lost the one, and I believe that's why he lost. Tyrann Mathieu, the honey badger, was looking around and was like, I can't do everything.
Here. Right.
Y'all not going to get me hurt trying to do everything. So he left. So I got them being the third team. I don't think they're going to win the division. To the points that we just made, it's going to be two other teams that are going to overtake them this year. But again, we're not saying that they're going to have a bad record. It's just that they're in a gauntlet of a division and two teams coming out of here, possibly three. And it's just going to be a shame for the team that ends up on the bottom, because they probably still have a winning record. But what you going to do?
You know what's amazing is this is probably going to be one of those years where the AFC is going to dominate the watch party, because the AFC West and the AFC East, bruh, they got some squads out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's enough said on that. We totally understand what they're up against and what they're going to have to deal with. So we shall see.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, let's switch over to the NFC West. All right. So, of course, you got your defending champions, the Rams. So we'll start with them. So J3, they were 12-5 last year. And of course, they took the crown. They are the defending champs. How you see things shaking out with them this year?
Truth be told, I think they're still going to be competitive. I'm hoping that Stafford has a better season than he did last season. Even though he took them to the Super Bowl, he still made some questionable throws. But he has tools on both sides of his line. So, and he has a running back that can run through you as well. Don't sleep on Henderson or what's his name?
Akers.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Akers ran Sony Michel out of town. I mean, it just wasn't enough room on the roster for him. In fact, Sony Michel was only there because Akers had gotten hurt. But that's also the criticism with Henderson. He just has to stay healthy, because
Right.
when he's healthy, both of them backs are very, very good in that
Yes,
offense.
sir. Yes, sir.
Matthew Stafford, I mean, I don't know if you looked at his stats lately, but the debate was always, he's got good stats, but he needs a Super Bowl to be considered a Hall of Famer. Well, he checked that off. Decision wise, I think he makes better decisions than Eli Manning. So if Eli Manning with 2 Super Bowls, decent numbers, and people are saying he's going to get in, then definitely Matthew Stafford has to get in. What I would say about him is that, people think we stupid. They think we don't know when there's been a lingering injury that's been hanging around for a long time. This elbow has been going on since last season. The problem is that he opted not to get surgery on it. So now it's becoming a problem. And now that we're entering into a season, it's questionable. If you listen to him, he says, I'll deal with it. That tells you right there that he was dealing with it last year. So if he's dealing with it, that means painkillers, whatever the case might be, treatment, all of that stuff. But the thing is, we'll never know exactly when that elbow became a problem and if he actually played most of the season that way, or was it towards the end of the season. Bottom line is he won a Super Bowl. What I think that they need to be very careful with is that he seems to have an injury that's no different than what baseball pitchers go through. And normally when they have surgeries on elbows, they're done for the season. That's it. There's no coming back that same season. And baseball, they play a lot more games and it's a little bit longer season. Well, yeah, a little bit longer. So if you can't come back within a baseball season, he's not coming back to play 16 games. And even if he did, would that salvage a season if you turn the ball over to a backup quarterback? So it remains to be seen if he can stay upright, not take too many hits, and play through it. If the Rams don't have him to end the season, then they won't repeat as Super Bowl champions. Now, he's got weapons all across this team, and it's sick. And I mean, we're talking about Odell Beckham coming back towards the end of December and jumping on this team and adding to their depth. And if they don't have any injuries and he comes back to the Rams, oh my God. Did you see how he was playing in the Super Bowl before he got hurt? I know everybody loves Cooper Kupp, and I'm not taking anything away from him, but that dude was on the way to being the MVP. He was killing them in the Super Bowl. And for that freak injury to happen on that turf, I mean, that hurts. That hurts. But he was killing them early in that game. So when you think that he can come back and give them even a semblance of that with all the wide receivers that they have, and they can throw him on the field in a certain package and then get him the ball, oh my God. If I'm him and I want another ring, I don't go anywhere else. Now I know other teams, once he gets healthy, would throw money to try to get him.
Stay with that dynasty. Stay with that dynasty.
I would stay there, because I know they sent Von Miller over to Buffalo, but they picked up Bobby Wagner. I mean, it's not an apples to oranges comparisons, because Bobby Wagner is more of a true linebacker, but when he goes on blitzes, man, he just is terrorizing as Von Miller blitzing on every down.
Yes,
but
sir.
The man can cover, and he's a tackling machine. And man, I think, what is he, 33? The man look like he's 23 out there, the way he runs around. He reminds me of London Fletcher. Remember, London Fletcher was ageless.
I ththought you was going to say Ray Lewis.
Yeah, London Fletcher, because the way his motor and how he gets after it, I mean, he's crazy on that defense that already has a dominant defensive line, and they got Ramsey at corner, and I mean, it's man, what can I say? So that team is poised to go back, but it's just question about the running back. I mean, the quarterback position, because we don't know if Matthew Stafford is going to play a whole season. Right? 49ers. What we got there, J3?
Whew. That's a question mark. And I say that because I'm not sure what Trey Young. Was it Trey Young?
Trey Lance.
Yeah. Trey Lance. I see he has potential, but I don't know how effective he's actually going to be if he has to play a whole season. So we'll see what happens at the end of this season, whether he can carry a team or not. I mean, the 49ers got some pieces on offense and defense as well. So I think they're going to be competitive. Do I think they're going to win the division? Nah, I still think it's going to be the Rams. And even though I think the Cardinals are still in that division, don't see them going anywhere either.
Right. It's interesting with Trey Lance because I get the logic that's out there that you don't want to ruin a high draft pick if you brought him in to take over the team in year 2. But I can't say he's better than Jimmy G as an option right now. With the
Mm.
team that you formed, they
Mm-hmm.
fit Jimmy G better than
Mm-hmm.
they do Lance. And I'm like, when you drafted him, did you kind of think through that? Because you purposefully brought Jimmy G in and you formed a team around him, a team that went to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're trying to oust him. I could see if you did like the Rams did with Golf, because I'm getting in return a better quarterback. But you brought in a rookie, and rookies drafted that high are expected to play in year 2. If you don't do that, then you're kind of ruining them, which I don't understand what the Packers were doing with Love. That was just stupid.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
but now they're forcing him into action, and he's been looking decent during the preseason, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't see anything that he does better than Jimmy G. Jimmy G plays cool and calm under pressure. I know he can Kirk Cousin it sometimes and throw up over himself, but he doesn't throw up over himself like Baker Mayfield does. But
Whoa.
he throws up over himself in big situations where
Shots
you can
fired.
question
Shots
I'm sorry,
fired.
the decision making, right? But a man that can get you to this point, I don't mind criticizing him if the biggest stage that he gets you on, that he didn't get it done. I mean, they say that about McNabb, right? On the biggest stage, he didn't get it done, but the man got you there. So I
Mm-hmm.
just don't see enough in Lance, right? Since he needs another year, but they're so hell pressed on trading him and getting rid of him, when I would just keep him and let him play. Now, if he messes up, then bench him. But San Francisco to me is in an interesting spot because you want to get rid of Jimmy G because of his cap number, because you want to pay people like Debo Samuel. And I think Kittles has a contract coming up, and Bosa will have a contract coming up. So you want to free up that money to be able to pay those boys. But if it's about year to year and winning a Super Bowl and you think you have the talent to do it, then I don't know why you're not all in with Jimmy G.
Who's
I
the
don't
head
know.
coach? Who's the head coach?
Shanahan.
Enough said.
Shanahan. Yep.
Enough
Same guy
said.
that ran RG3 in the ground.
And there you have it.
Same guy that took his foot off the pedal when he had New England beat and
Yep.
got Matty Ice crushed in
Oh
that
my
game,
goodness.
calling them
Please.
stupid plays. All right. We,
Exactly.
we ain't going to
Exactly.
rehash that. All right. So, yeah, the 49ers, we need to mention Debo Samuel. Of course, they got Kittles.
Mm-hmm.
They got Mitchell. If he can stay healthy, he's a solid running back. Their defense is still everything you need it to be. You got Warner at linebacker. He's a dog too. So as long as they can stay healthy, I mean, San Francisco can be in contention. The wild card to me in that division is always the Cardinals, because they have talent, but they never seem to be able to break through being third in the division, right? It's always like, yeah, we in there, and then the wheels fall off.
That's because of the coaching. If you check out their head coach, he can't win. He can't close games. He gives games away.
Yeah, and to me, they always bullish about these college coaches coming out of the ranks, and we know why, so we're not going to hash on that. But it's like they come in with their schemes, their gimmicks and stuff, and it works at first, but then after a while, it starts fizzling out and people catch up with it. And Kyler Murray to me is everything that you need him to be, but it's sort of like, you got to stop putting too much on his shoulders, because any quarterback, if they got to do too much, it's not a winning formula. They're going to get you. They're going to pull some hats out of the bag a couple of times during the season. But we've seen Kyler try to do too much and they fall short, and then he gets blamed for it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put a better scheme around that young man so that they can be successful at what they do. And please, our star wide receiver, Mr. Hopkins, you got to stay clean, man. Your quarterback needs his main weapon out there, and he's done for what, 6 games? 6 games.
Yep.
Right. So who knows where the standings are going to be then without your greatest weapon? And then, I don't have much to say about their backfield. I mean, you got anything to highlight with them? I don't.
Next.
Yeah. Okay. Fine with me. So stay tuned. Kyler Murray got his contract. So how is he going to fare this year? What is the offense going to look like? I mean, their defense is solid. Definitely when you look up front, they still got a man named Mr. Watt on that team. They still got some stout play at the linebacker position. So we'll see what happens. All right, man. I looked up at the time. Where does it go? All right, Seahawks. We don't have much to say there anyway.
Trash.
I mean, is anybody shouting in Geno we trust?
Nah.
I mean, I don't think anybody saying that. And who's the quarterback from Denver? Drew Lock. I mean, it's a reason why he's not in Denver anymore. So to me, Pete Carroll rested on his laurels. He had great success in his early years. He was spoiled, had the defense,
should have had
back to back. Yeah,
should have
all
had
of that. Right.
Should
have had back to back. He outcoached himself because it should have been beast mode. I mean, you had a premier quarterback that you should have never let get out the door. He should have never been disgruntled. You didn't make the right moves drafting and free agency. They didn't build a line around Russ. None of that stuff. So as a quarterback, you had to understand why he walked away. You bring in a guy and you're wasting his talent in Jamal Adams. It's sad that he went for the money because that's what he did. And they just don't have much outside of the two safeties that they have there in Seattle. I mean, they let Bobby Wagner walk. I mean, I just don't know what else to say. They will be nestled at the bottom of the division, and they might jet it up. They might do a 4-13, this year. I don't see them being competitive at all.
Nope.
And, San Francisco's not going to trade Jimmy G inside the division. And there's no other quarterback out there that's going to get you out of the mess that you're in. So what do you see, J3?
Stank. They just going to be stank. Just nasty stank. Yeah.
Anybody in the chat got anything about to say with the Seahawks before we move on?
Next.
All right, y'all. So now let's get to some post takes for the night. So as you know, it is fantasy football time. So we trying to get everybody in the mood. He put trash up there. You crazy. He trash. For sure. So as people are joining their fantasy football leagues, our league, the Post Power Play Fantasy Football, we just did our draft on Sunday. So shout out to all the fellas and women that jumped in and got your teams drafted. We should have another stellar year. We're doing something different this year for all our viewers and listeners out there. If you want to be a part of our fantasy football league, we will be opening another league up. So all you have to do is contact us. I'm the commissioner, so let me know that you want to join the league, and we will put 10 to 12 leagues in our second league. I will be competing in both of them, and I do talk a lot of trash, just so you guys know. So just wanted to put that out there for you guys if you want to join us. So just let us know. So I want to leave you with this. We're going to talk quickly about the top 10 fantasy players by rank, name, team, and position. So number one, and this is not a shock to all of our fantasy people out there, definitely not a shock to us, that Jonathan Taylor, the Colts running back, has been the number one choice throughout the land. He is lights out. He is going to help Matty Ice tremendously for the Colts this year. And I really see them being that dark horse that people are sleeping on that's not only going to win that division, but they're going to compete better than people think. Next, and I know Clutch, he was making fun of this one, but Najee Harris is actually rated number 2. And he's been picked at number 2 in a lot of leagues. He's the running back for the Steelers in his second year with the Steelers. And BJ, he will have to carry that rock a lot. What I'm sad about is that he'll be great for fantasy, but they're in danger already of running him into the ground. And you saw what happened with Le'Veon Bell. So I'll just say, I hope the Steelers are very careful with him. But he's going to rack up points this year. He's also a back that can catch out the field. backfield. So he's definitely going to get it done. And then we mentioned number 3 earlier, Austin Eckler. He's a big time fantasy racker up of pointser, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's their running back. Again, he can catch out the backfield. Many people are picking him at number 3, and he's rated to get the 3rd most points in fantasy this year. We got Cooper Kupp at number 4, and enough said about the Rams wide receiver. You know, he gets the job done. And we certainly saw in our draft that, you know, he went real early in our draft. Jonathan Taylor went real early. Harris and Eckler went a little bit later, but definitely those guys went early. Number 5, Derrick Henry went early. Now, Derrick Henry dropped a little bit. Don't ask me why. This is based on the country and fantasy football and everything. But Derrick Henry is number 5. I don't think you can go wrong with him at all. Matter of fact, any of these running backs that you choose, and remember, if you're playing in a PPR league, pick running back first. I don't know what else to tell you. Pick running backs first. It is the best strategy to do. And you want to pick running backs that have good hands, that can catch out the backfield and make people miss, because you get the points per reception, you get the yardage, the yak, all that good stuff. Yeah. And of course, you love the touchdowns that these guys can score. And next is number 6, we got Christian McCaffrey.
Gotta stay healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So if he stays healthy, nothing else to be said. He's lights out if he stays healthy. Then you got our favorite, Alvin Kamara. Now, the Chiefs, the Saints are in an interesting year. New coach, right? New coach. Is the offense going to look the same? Because Sean Payton is a genius, and everybody knows that. He's an offensive genius. Him and what he and Drew Brees did for that team, I mean, it has gone unmatched by few other than any team that Brady was on, or say Aaron Rodgers. But other than that, Drew Brees and Peyton and what they did for that team has been great. And if the Saints, I got to say this, if they didn't get robbed a couple of years with bad calls and 2 separate playoff games, we might have been talking multiple championships for Drew Brees and Sean Payton. So I'm going to leave that there. But Alvin Kamara is your sure bet. I know, isn't he in a little bit of trouble for PEDs as well?
Yeah, he's suspended for what, 6 games?
Yeah. So you can draft him and stash him. That's the best thing I can tell you. And that's why he fell to number 7. 8, Dalvin Cook, Vikings running back. I mean, not a lot to say about him. You know, he is a bruiser. He is going to carry that rock between the tackles, and people are scared to tackle him, much like Derrick Henry. So you do well by drafting this guy as your RB1. And then 9 is Justin Jefferson for the Vikings, and 10 is Jamar Chase. I don't have to say much. These guys are in their 3rd and 2nd years, and they are taking the league by storm. Justin Jefferson made people forget about Adam Thielen, and Adam Thielen is a dog. Y'all know that. He is a beast at wide receiver, but Jefferson's talent is so good. And these are 2 LSU boys with Jefferson and Chase. So you know LSU is pumping out the wide receivers and the quarterbacks. So you do well by doing them. So QB didn't come up until pick number 34 in most drafts, and that was Josh Allen. I mean, nothing to be said about that. He has turned the corner. He is now a bona fide top 3 quarterback in the league. The stats proved it. The team that he plays on proves it. He is one that you want to get. Now, if your team, and this is by your team, if somebody panics on your teams and they start drafting quarterbacks too early, pay attention to where you're drafting. And if other people start following suit, and there's a quarterback that you really covet and that you love, go ahead and snatch him. Because if you don't want to lose him, then I would say go ahead and snatch him. Again, dual threat quarterbacks like one Lamar Jackson are at the top of the list. Why? If you don't have a bona fide passer like Josh Allen that's going to get you 5,000 yards, then you need the guy that's going to get you 5,000 yards the other way. He's going to get you, 3.5 in the air, and he's going to give you over 1,000 on the ground, right? Close to it, 800 to 1,000. And that's good where you want to be. That's going to rack up a lot of points, going to get you the touchdowns. Because remember, rushing touchdowns count for quarterbacks as well. So if you're in a league of 10 to 12 people that are playing, you shouldn't have any problems getting a quarterback. So don't be that person that starts drafting a quarterback too early. Remember, there are 10 to 12 great to good quarterbacks, so you won't miss out on anybody. And don't go after the hometown favorite or something like that. choose your quarterbacks wisely. All right. The top 10 fluctuates. So depending on which 4-letter network or 3-letter network you look at or where you're doing your research, they'll fluctuate, but that's pretty much the cream of the crop there with that top 10. All right. So we're going to close that out. I did want to leave you this. If you are picking 11th or 12th in your league, go with CeeDee Lamb from the Cowboys. I'm hating that I'm doing that for the Cowboys, or Stephon Diggs from the Bills, wide receivers. And if you're in a snake draft and you're 12th and then you pick first, please get Devontae Adams or Travis Kelce next. Trust me on that. You'll thank me later. All right, J3, anything to add to the fantasy football before we go to our final post?
Nah, none at all, bro. None at all. I think you summed it up.
All right, so go ahead and lead us out with the final post.
So the final post for everyone is football is back. Let's enjoy the season. Let's see who's going to have the upsets. Let's see who's going to lead the stats. Let's have a good season. Let's go.
All right, thank you, J3. And for me, I'm gonna just tell you guys to just be diligent, keep your head and your mind on swivels. You know, it's not just COVID, but there's a lot of violence and just crime going on out here. We got to continue to keep us lifted in prayer, to look out for one another. If you see something, please say something. We got to keep our neighborhood safe, and we got to get these young people in the mentoring. You're looking at 2 mentors here. If you know kids in your neighborhood who are just being idle, we're not saying they got to come to the organizations that we have, but please send them somewhere. The Boys and Girls Club, Community Youth Advance, you know, the Y, send them somewhere to get them off the streets so that we can get their futures solidified and stop putting this negative stuff up on the news. Get well, Big Reg. We're pulling for you. Much love to our brothers who are not here. We shall see you again next week. So all I'm saying is, you know, the same bat channel, bat time for next week. We appreciate you guys tuning in today. Please like or share us on our social media platforms. We got @positions on SPO1 on the Twitter handles and on Instagram. You can also find us on our YouTube channel, which you found us tonight, or on our Facebook page, Facebook Live, by the same name. We're also on Twitch, and then we are getting ready to give you more content on TikTok. So love you guys. Be safe out there. Peace.
See ya.
Great stuff, brother.
Good job, partner.
Amen. We held it.